3 years had passed since the first human ship reached the stars and found they were not alone. Admiral Kim Tae-ho stood on the bridge of his warship, the EDS Horizon, watching alien ships move through space like dancers. These were not just any alien ships. They were Valoran vessels, made of crystal that caught starlight and threw it back in rainbow colors. The Valorans were different from the other alien races in the Galactic Council. While most aliens looked at humans like they were children playing with dangerous toys, the Valorans saw something special. They saw potential where others saw primitiveness. They saw creativity where others saw chaos. "Admiral, the Valoran captain wants to start training together," said Lieutenant Park Min-soo from a station. His voice carried excitement. Joint training with aliens still felt like something from old Earth movies. Tae-ho nodded. "Tell Captain Veltar we are ready." Through the big window of the ship's bridge, Tae-ho could see the Valoran homeworld spinning slowly below them. Kristera was beautiful beyond human words. Instead of building cities with metal and concrete like humans did, the Valorans grew their cities. Tall spires of living crystal reached toward the sky, each one humming with gentle music that could be heard even in space. The training began. Human ships were small and fast, built for war even though Earth had known peace for decades. Valoran ships were larger and moved with grace, their crystal hulls designed for exploration and peace. When they worked together, something magical happened. The human ships provided speed and tactics, while the Valoran ships offered protection with their amazing shield technology. Dr. Lee So-young, Earth's expert on alien life, walked up to the Admiral with her electronic notebook. "Sir, the reports from our people working with the Valorans are incredible. They think about problems in ways we never imagined. Our engineers are learning things that will change how we build everything." She was right. The Valorans did not just share their technology. They shared their way of thinking. Where humans would force their way through a problem, Valorans would find harmony with it. Where humans would build bigger weapons, Valorans would build better shields. Together, they were creating things neither species could make alone. The friendship between humans and Valorans grew stronger every day. Human children learned Valoran songs in school. Valoran younglings studied human literature. Scientists from both species worked together on projects that amazed the galaxy. Most importantly, they shared food. Human farming techniques helped Valorans grow more food than ever before, while Valoran growing methods made human crops stronger and healthier. But not everyone in the galaxy was happy about this friendship. Commander Yoon Ji-hae appeared at Tae-ho's side, her face serious. She was his best tactical officer, and when she looked worried, Tae-ho paid attention. "Sir, we keep picking up secret messages between the Korthak Empire and the Zephyrian Alliance. They are talking about the human-Valoran partnership, and they do not sound pleased." Tae-ho's good mood faded. The Korthaks were lizard-like beings who believed in strength above all else. They had ruled their part of the galaxy through fear and military power for thousands of years. The Zephyrians were different but equally dangerous. They were ancient and proud, believing they were superior to all other life forms. Both species had made it clear they did not approve of humans joining the Galactic Council. Earth's technology was primitive compared to theirs. Human ships were tiny. Human worlds were few. In their eyes, humans were upstart children who had been given too much too soon. The Valorans supporting humans made it worse. The Valorans were respected throughout the galaxy for their wisdom and their powerful technology. When they chose to be friends with humans, it gave humanity a status that the Korthaks and Zephyrians thought humans had not earned. "What kind of messages?" Tae-ho asked. "The usual complaint about disrupting the galactic order." Yoon replied, "But there are also mentions of security concerns and necessary actions. It sounds like they are planning something." Dr. Lee looked up from her notebook with concern. The Valorans trust the Council completely. They have been part of it for over 2,000 years. They believe in galactic law and order. If someone is planning something against them, they would never see it coming. This was the problem with being peaceful for too long. The Valorans had not fought a war in centuries. Their ships were built for exploration, not battle. Their shields were strong, but they had few weapons. They believed that the Galactic Council's laws would protect them. Humans were different. Earth had only recently stopped fighting wars against itself. Human military thinking was still sharp, still paranoid, still ready for betrayal. That paranoia was starting to pay off. Keep monitoring those communications, Tejo ordered, and prepare our ships for anything. Something tells me our friends are going to need us soon. As he spoke, another group of Valoran ships approached for joint training. Their crystal hulls sang with harmonic frequencies that sounded like whale songs mixed with church bells. Beautiful and peaceful, completely trusting in the friendship they had built with humanity. Tejo hoped his fears were wrong, but 30 years of military service had taught him to trust his instincts. Storm clouds were gathering the galaxy, and the beautiful, trusting Valorans were flying straight into them. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council had been called with unusual speed. Elder Silmaven of the Valorans stood in the great assembly hall, his crystalline form reflecting the lights of a dozen different star systems. He had brought the entire Valoran leadership with him, trusting in thousands of years of council law and tradition. Captain Bang Sujin watched from her position aboard the human observation ship Defiant. Something felt wrong about this meeting. The normal ceremonies had been skipped. The usual diplomatic talks had been cut short. Most disturbing of all, species that normally hated each other were sitting together like old friends. Captain, I count 5 different fleets hiding behind the asteroid field, reported her sensor officer. Korthak, Zephyrian, and 3 others. That is a lot of firepower for a simple meeting. Sujin felt her stomach twist. Get me a direct line to Admiral Kim immediately. Before the communication could go through, the trap was sprung. Korthak warships dropped out of hyperspace like hungry wolves. Their dark metal hulls bristled with weapons that were already glowing with deadly energy. Zephyrian destroyers appeared from the other side, their sleek forms moving with predatory grace. 3 other council fleets completed the circle around the unsuspecting Valoran ships. "This is Elder Silmaven to all council forces," came the desperate voice over the radio. "What is the meaning of this?" "We came here in peace as requested." Counselor Drex of the Korthak Empire answered with cold satisfaction. "You came here as criminals. The Council has evidence that you and your human friends have been developing illegal weapons. Surrender now or face the consequences." "That is impossible," Silmaven replied, his harmonic voice carrying confusion and hurt. "We are a peaceful people. We have broken no laws." "Your alliance with the humans proves otherwise," hissed the Zephyrian commander. "You have shared restricted technology with a primitive species. You have disrupted the galactic order. The penalty is clear." Sujin watched in horror as she realized what was happening. This was not about weapons or laws. This was about fear. Fear of change. Fear of losing power. Fear that humans and Valorans together might create something new and better than the old ways. The first shots came without warning. Korthak plasma cannons tore through space, their green energy beams striking the crystal hull of the Valoran flagship Crystal Harmony. The beautiful ship, designed for exploration and diplomacy, had shields meant to protect against space debris and radiation, not military weapons. The crystal surface cracked like ice under a hammer. Internal lights flickered and died as the ship's power systems failed. Through the transparent hull, Sujin could see Valoran figures running in panic, trying to reach escape pods that were never meant to be used. All Valoran ships scatter and run. Elder Silmaven commanded, even as his own ship was dying around him. "Save yourselves. Tell the galaxy what happened here." But there was nowhere to run. The trap was perfect. Every exit was blocked by enemy ships. The Valorans had come in their finest vessels. Diplomatic ships filled with their greatest leaders, their best scientists, their most talented artists. None of them were built for war. The Crystal Harmony split apart in a shower of rainbow light, each fragment catching the light of distant stars before going dark forever. Elder Silmaven's final transmission was cut off mid-sentence, leaving only static where his wise voice had been. Other Valoran ships tried to fight back, but their few defensive weapons were no match for the overwhelming firepower surrounding them. One by one, the crystal ships shattered like glass sculptures hit by sledgehammers. The beautiful harmonic songs they sang were replaced by the harsh crack of breaking crystal and the screams of the dying. Captain Sujin found herself crying as she watched. These were not soldiers dying in battle. These were teachers, healers, artists, and philosophers. They were the very best of Valoran society, gathered together to discuss peace, only to find death waiting for them. "Captain, what are your orders?" asked their communications officer, his voice shaking. "Record everything," Sue Jean said through her tears. "Every ship destroyed, every life lost, every word spoken. The galaxy needs to know the truth about what happened here." The massacre lasted only 20 minutes. When it was over, the space where the Valoran fleet had been was filled with glittering debris. Pieces of crystal hull drifted in the void like fallen stars, each one carrying the dreams and hopes of species that had trusted in galactic law. Within an hour, the Council's propaganda machine was already working. News broadcasts across the galaxy told a different story. The Valorans had attacked first, they claimed. The Valorans had been developing secret weapons with human help. The other Council species had only defended themselves against Valoran aggression. But Sue Jean had recorded the truth. She had seen the trap being set. She had heard the real reason for the attack. Fear of change, fear of losing power, fear of a friendship that threatened the established order. As the enemy fleets disappeared back into hyperspace, dividing up their conquest, Sue Jean sent an encrypted message to Admiral Kim. "They are all dead. Every last one. The Council murdered them in cold blood, and now they are blaming us." The age of innocence was over. Humanity's first and best friends in the galaxy were gone, and their blood was on human hands according to the Council's lies. War was coming. President Cho Hyun-woo sat in the underground emergency room, deep beneath Seoul, surrounded by Earth's most important leaders. The walls were thick concrete and steel, built to survive nuclear war. Today, they would try to survive something worse, the betrayal of an entire galaxy. Admiral Kim Tae-ho stood at the front of the room, his uniform wrinkled from 3 days without sleep. Behind him, a large screen showed the debris field where the Valoran fleet had died, each glowing that represented hundreds of lives lost. "The intercepted communications are clear," Tae-ho said, his voice tired but angry. This was planned months in advance. The Court Hacks, Zephyrians, and 3 other Council species worked together to eliminate the Valorans. They used the emergency meeting as bait. Foreign Minister Song Nari shook her head. But why? The Valorans were peaceful. They never threatened anyone. Dr. Kong Hyun-soo, Earth's top military scientist, answered from his seat near the back. Because they were our friends. Because they shared technology with us. Because together, we were becoming too strong, too influential. The old powers could not allow that. The president stared at the screen, showing the destruction. He had met Elder Silmaven twice. The Valoran leader had been kind, wise, and genuinely interested in human culture. He had brought gifts for human children and asked thoughtful questions about Earth's history. Now he was dead, murdered for the crime of friendship. What is our current situation? Cho asked quietly. General Lim Minho opened a thick folder. Complete isolation. All trade agreements have been canceled. Our merchant ships are being turned away from Council space. Our ambassadors have been expelled and told never to return. They are treating us like criminals. Because according to their story, we are criminals, added Intelligence Director Park Ji-won. The Council is telling the galaxy that we helped the Valorans develop illegal weapons. They are saying we are dangerous warmongers who must be contained. Dr. Kim Seo-jin, who had worked closely with Valoran scientists, spoke up from near the window. Her voice was quiet but filled with pain. They shared everything with us. Their technology, their culture, their trust. They treated us like family. And now they are dead because of us. No, Tae-ho said firmly. They are dead because the Council fears change. They are dead because some species believe they have the right to decide who lives and who dies. But we are not responsible for their murder. The president looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leaders. Some showed anger, others showed fear, but all showed the same realization. Humanity was alone in a hostile galaxy. What are our options? He asked. Dr. Kong stood up, pulling out his electronic tablet. We have been studying Valoran technology for 3 years. We understand how their crystal systems work. We have samples of their shield generators and power cores. If we focus all of our industrial capacity on military production, we could build a real fleet. How long would that take? General Lim asked. 18 months if we convert every factory on Earth. But it would mean no consumer goods, no civilian construction, no luxury items. Everything would go to building warships. Foreign Minister Song looked shocked. You are talking about turning Earth into a military state. What about diplomacy? What about negotiation? Surely we can find a peaceful solution. Admiral Tejo laughed bitterly. Diplomacy with who? The same council that just committed genocide and is blaming us for it? The same species that are already dividing up Valoran territory, like it is a prize to be won. He activated another screen showing intelligence reports. Look at this. Korthak forces have already occupied 3 former Valoran colonies. Zephyrian ships are stripping crystal technology from Valoran ruins. They are not interested in peace. They are interested in profit. The room fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. The Valorans were not just dead. They were being erased from history, their worlds looted, their achievements stolen. Dr. Kim Seojin stood up slowly. I worked with them for 2 years. They taught me things about science that humans had never imagined. They trusted us with secrets they had never shared with anyone else. We owe them justice. Justice? Song asked. Against the entire Galactic Council? We have 12 warships. They have thousands. It would be suicide. Maybe, Tejo admitted. But what is the alternative? We hide on Earth while our friends' killers celebrate their victory? We let genocide go unpunished because it is safer for us. President Cho closed his eyes for a long moment. When he opened them, his decision was made. Dr. Kong, you have 18 months to build us a fleet. General Lim, prepare for total military mobilization. Admiral Kim, start planning our response. Sir, Foreign Minister Song protested, this could mean the end of human civilization. The president looked at the screen, showing the Valoran debris field one more time. Our civilization is not worth preserving if we abandon our friends when they need justice. The Valorans died because they trusted in galactic law. They died because they believed in peace. They died because they were our allies. He stood up, his voice growing stronger. The Council thinks we are weak because we are new. They think we will hide and be grateful to survive. They are wrong. Begin Operation Starfall. Outside, Earth's factories were already starting to change their production lines. The age of innocence was over. The age of war was about to begin. 18 months had changed everything. Admiral Kim Tae-ho stood on the bridge of the EDS Retribution, watching as 60 human warships moved through space in perfect formation. Where Earth once had 12 small vessels, now a true fleet emerged from the asteroid factories of the Sol system. Each ship bore the name of a Valoran who had died in the massacre, the Sil Maven Veltar Zilhaven. Their crystal-enhanced hulls gleamed with integrated technology that made them unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human engineering combined with Valoran science had created something entirely new. All ships reporting ready for combat, Admiral, announced Captain Oh Min-woo from the tactical station. His voice carried excitement mixed with nervousness. Most of the crew had never seen real battle, but they had trained for this moment every day for over a year. Dr. Kong Hyun-soo's innovations had exceeded everyone's expectations. Quantum torpedoes that could punch through any known shield. AI targeting systems that could track and hit targets faster than alien reflexes could respond. Stealth technology that bent light and energy around human ships, making them invisible to sensors. But the most important innovation was the drone swarms. While other species built bigger ships with more powerful weapons, humans had learned to think differently. Why build one massive ship when you could build 100 small fighting drones that could work together like a school of fish? First target confirmed. Reported Commander Park Ji-young from Vengeance. Korthak Mining Station, Omega 7. They had been processing crystals stolen from Valoran ruins. Tae-ho felt cold satisfaction. The station had been built on the graves of his friends. Korthak workers were literally breaking apart the remains of Valoran ships to harvest their technology. It was time to send a message. All ships, engage stealth systems. Begin attack pattern alpha. The human fleet vanished from sensors like ghosts. One moment they were visible on every scanner in the system. The next moment they were gone. The technology was based on principles the Valorans had shared, bending electromagnetic radiation around objects instead of trying to block it. The Korthak station never saw death coming. 60 ships materialized from nowhere, launching their drone swarms like deadly metal clouds. The station's defensive weapons tried to target the larger ships, but the drones were too small, too fast, too numerous to stop. Quantum torpedoes tore through the station's shields as if they were made of paper. The facility that had been built to profit from Valoran deaths became an expanding cloud of plasma and debris in less than 10 minutes. Station destroyed Admiral O reported no human casualties. Drone recovery at 95%. The news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. An entire Korthak military facility had been destroyed by unknown attackers. Security footage showed human ships appearing from nowhere, attacking with weapons that seemed impossible, then vanishing again. The second attack came 3 days later. A Zephyrian forward base that had been established in former Valoran territory. This time, the enemy was ready and waiting. Zephyrian warships surrounded the base, their ancient weapons charged and ready. It did not matter. Human ships attacked from every direction at once, their stealth systems allowing them to choose when and where to fight. The Zephyrian fleet commander tried to surrender after losing half his ships, but no mercy was given. Remember the Crystal Harmony. Teho broadcast on all frequencies as the base exploded. Remember Elder Silmaven. Remember Justice. Word of the attacks reached the Galactic Council within hours. For the first time in centuries, Council species began to feel afraid. How had primitive humans developed such advanced technology? How were they striking deep inside Council space without being detected? The breakthrough came when Lieutenant Colonel C.O. Minho's scout ships discovered something incredible in the Outer Rim territories. Hidden colonies of Valorans who had survived the massacre. Small groups who had been away from the homeworld when the genocide happened, now living in secret, afraid to reveal themselves. "We thought we were alone," said Elder Zilmaven, one of the survivors, as a small crystal ship docked with the Retribution. His harmonic voice carried both sadness and hope. "We believed our entire species had been destroyed." Teho felt tears in his eyes as he met the Elder in the docking bay. Here was living proof that not all the Valorans were gone. Here was hope that their species might survive. "Your people honored our dead through action, not words," Zilmaven continued. "We will join your fleet. Together, we will ensure this never happens again." The combined human-Valoran force was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Human ships provided stealth, speed, and innovative tactics. Valoran crystal vessels offered powerful shields and energy weapons that could cut through any armor. Together, they began moving toward their final target, the Nexus, the ancient space station where the Galactic Council held power, the place where the genocide had been planned and approved. "Admiral," reported Captain Bang Sujin from her scout ship, "Council forces are gathering at the Nexus. 5 species, over 300 warships. They know we are coming." Teho nodded grimly. The enemy was finally taking humanity seriously. They were bringing everything they had to stop the human advance. "Good," he said quietly. "Let them come. Let them bring their entire fleet. It is time they learn what happens when you murder our friends." The final battle was approaching, and humanity was ready. The ancient space station called the Nexus floated in the darkness like a metal flower with petals made of steel and crystal. It had been built by a vanished civilization millions of years ago, and for thousands of years it had served as a heart of galactic power. Today, it would become a battlefield. Admiral Kim Teho watched through the main screen of the EDS Retribution as his fleet dropped out of hyperspace. 60 human warships flanked by 12 surviving Valoran crystal vessels faced the largest enemy fleet ever assembled. Over 300 Council ships waited for them, their weapons already glowing with deadly energy. "Admiral, we are being scanned by every sensor in the system," reported Captain O Minwoo. "They know exactly where we are and what we have." That was the plan. For once, Teho wanted the enemy to see them coming. No stealth, no surprise attacks. This would be a direct confrontation where the galaxy could witness what happened when you murdered humanity's friends. Open communications to all Council ships, Teho ordered. The main screen flickered and showed the bridge of a Korthak battlecruiser. Counselor Drek sat in his command chair, his lizard-like features twisted with arrogance and hatred. "This is Admiral Kim Teho of the Terran Retribution Fleet," Teho announced, his voice carrying across every frequency. "Surrender those responsible for the Valoran genocide and withdraw from stolen territory. Do this, and no more blood needs to be spilled today." Drex laughed, a harsh sound like grinding metal. "You face the combined might of 5 galactic civilizations, human. Your pathetic fleet is outnumbered 10 to 1. Surrender now, and we might allow your species to continue existing as slaves." Beside Teho, Elder Zilmaven's crystal form pulsed with soft light. The Valoran survivor spoke in his harmonic voice that somehow carried both sadness and determination. "You murdered children, Drex. You destroyed hospitals and schools. You killed beings who had never raised a weapon against anyone. Today, justice comes for you." "Justice?" Drex spat. "There's only power in this galaxy. The strong rule, the weak serve. Your crystal-singing friends learned that lesson too late." The Korthak commander cut the communication and immediately activated something that made every human on every ship gasp in shock. Ancient weapons built into the Nexus itself began to power up. Massive energy cannons that had been sleeping for eons suddenly blazed with light, bright enough to blind sensors. These were weapons from the galaxy's previous rulers, technology so advanced that even the current Council species barely understood how they worked. Energy beams thick as city blocks lanced through space, each one carrying enough power to destroy an entire fleet. But where the beams expected to find human ships, they found only empty space. "Stealth systems at maximum," reported Commander Park Ji-young from her station. "All ships invisible to sensors and visual detection." Dr. Kong Hyun-soo's greatest achievement had worked perfectly. The ancient weapons, powerful as they were, could only destroy what they could see. The human fleet had vanished like ghosts, leaving the massive energy beams to waste their fury on empty vacuum. The counterattack came from every direction at once. Quantum torpedoes, guided by Valoran crystal resonance technology, found their targets with perfect accuracy. The weapons seemed to bend through space, curving around obstacles and defensive barriers to strike exactly where they would do the most damage. Council ships that had ruled the galaxy for centuries began exploding like fireworks. Their shields, designed to stop conventional weapons, offered no protection against quantum torpedoes that existed in multiple dimensions at once. Korthak flagship taking critical damage. O reported with satisfaction. Zephyrian command ship has lost main power. 3 other Council vessels are requesting permission to surrender. But Drex was not finished. In desperation, he activated the Nexus's final defense, an ancient AI system that controlled automated battle stations throughout the sector. Hundreds of robotic weapons platforms came online, their targeting systems locking onto any ship that was not broadcasting Council identification codes. "Admiral, we have a problem," Captain Bang Sujin called from the Defiant. "Those automated systems can track our quantum signatures even through stealth. They know where we are." Teho smiled grimly. "Elder Zilmaven, are you ready?" The Valoran survivor's crystal form brightened. "Our people built the first harmonic resonance systems. If these ancient machines use similar technology, we can turn them against their masters." The surviving Valoran ships began to sing. Their crystal hulls vibrated with frequencies that reached across space, touching the ancient AI systems and speaking to them in a language older than the current galactic civilization. The automated weapons platform stopped firing at human ships. Instead, they turned their guns toward the Council fleet that had activated them. "Impossible." Drex screamed as his own defensive systems began targeting Council vessels. "How are they controlling our weapons?" Elder Zilmaven's voice carried across all frequencies with the wisdom of ages. "You use technology you do not understand, built by beings you have forgotten. We remember the old songs, the first harmonies. We speak to machines in their native tongue." The battle became a rout. Council ships found themselves under attack not only by invisible human vessels, but by their own defensive systems. Ancient weapons that were meant to protect them instead tore through their ranks with merciless efficiency. When Counselor Drex's flagship finally exploded in a ball of green plasma, the remaining Council forces surrendered. The species that had ruled the galaxy through fear and murder now knelt before humans and Valorans, begging for mercy they had never shown others. Admiral Toe stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching as the last enemy vessels powered down their weapons. Around him, both human and Valoran crew members wept with relief and joy. The genocide had been avenged. Justice had been served, and the galaxy would never again doubt that humanity protected its friends.